How do sweeteners, specifically sugar alcohols, affect our diabetic blood sugar levels? How do we account for them? And this is where most are wrong. Each sugar alcohol will affect you differently. One of which, and surprisingly the one most commonly used, will spike your blood sugars as if you were eating pure sugar. Today, you will know which ones to avoid and which ones are safe. Finally, we will compare and contrast other artificial sweeteners to sugar alcohols when it comes to what is most important to us diabetics, our sensitivity and glucose control. But before we begin, let me welcome all you resilient diabetics out there. This is where we turn ordinary struggling diabetics into extraordinary well-controlled diabetics. If you don't know who I am and you're brand new to this channel, my name is Sampat, and I am an insulin-dependent diabetic diagnosed a little over 5 years ago, so the proud owner of a pancreas that's gone on a permanent and lifelong vacation. So not only am I a diabetic just like you, where we'll be walking that walk and talking that talk together, but I do also have a University of Bachelor of Science degree in nutrition dietetics, and that does come in very handy in discussing all the intricacies of being a diabetic. My goal is to put 4 years of chemistry, biochemistry, organic chemistry, human physiology into a simple 10-minute course or presentation so that you know more about your diabetic body and how it works better than, dare I say, your doctor? I just did. The unique information presented today will only be found here on the Resilient Diabetic. New life-changing episodes are generally released weekly. So if you'd like to learn more and you want to be notified by YouTube that a new video has been published, the only way to do that is to first hit that subscribe button, followed by hitting that gray notification bell. Then you have to choose turn on all notifications. But of course, if you liked what you've heard today, please hit that like button. As a diabetic looking to control blood sugars, you might have noticed sugar alcohols are basically in every low carb or no carb food that we eat. Just a quick look on the nutrition facts labels, from yogurts to sugar-free gums, hard candies, cookies, soft drinks, throat lozenges, to even toothpaste. And of course, it's even heavily used in the keto world and in many supplement-based nutrition bars, especially those marketed as low-carb or no-carb high-protein bars. So, what are sugar alcohols? Sugar alcohols, also known as polyols, are ingredients used as sweeteners and bulking agents, and they are neither sugars nor are they true alcohols. They are actually carbohydrates with a chemical structure that partially resembles a sugar and partially resembles alcohol, but they do not contain any ethanol as alcoholic beverages do, so they're not going to get you drunk. How would you quickly tell if you're looking at a sugar alcohol on a label? For the most part, in a little chemistry 101 for you here, the letters of the name will end with an OL. So you're looking for words such as mannitol, sorbitol, xylitol, maltitol, and erythritol. Sugar alcohols do naturally occur in foods and come from plant products such as fruits and berries. And that's how the market basically spins these products, as sweeteners that are all natural. As a sugar substitute, they provide fewer calories than regular sugar. For the most part, with a few exceptions, require little or no insulin to be secreted or to be taken exogenously. Their use is becoming more and more frequent and common in the marketplace. My bet is you may be consuming some of them and you don't even know it. Because of the hybrid structure, some of the sugar alcohols do not get absorbed in the bloodstream. Instead, a good percentage passes through the small intestine, and that's where they are fermented by bacteria in the large intestine. This fermentation process then creates the possibility of bloating and diarrhea when sugar alcohols are basically eaten in excess. And in some people, the wrong sugar alcohol will give what's known as a laxative effect. So our next question, why are sugar alcohols now being used in just about everything? Sugar alcohols add texture to foods, helps retain moisture better, and it prevents foods from browning when they are heated. The main reason? They help provide the sweet flavor to foods marketed towards individuals who are seeking out lower carbohydrate alternatives. And this trend is growing. But beware, it is a highly manipulative world out there when it comes to labeling. Some of these products may still contain significant amount of carbohydrates. It's really important that you check the labels for the total carbohydrates contained. So where are some of the deceptive games being played? First, listing sugar alcohols on the nutrition facts panel is voluntary unless there is a claim made on the food label. In other words, if the front of the label says something like sugar-free or no sugar added, and the food uses sugar alcohols, then the sugar alcohols must be listed on the nutrition facts panel. If the manufacturer then uses the term sugar-free or no sugar added, then they must list the grams of sugar alcohols. If more than one sugar alcohol is used in a product, and generally most do, then the nutrition facts will list the amounts of sugar alcohol it contains under the total carbohydrates. If just one sugar alcohol is used, the label will list the specific name, for example, sorbitol. If less than 0.5 grams are present, they can list the amount as 0. Now, let's get to the important stuff. Which ones are good and which ones are bad? And just as importantly, how do we account for them? Sugar alcohols, depending on which ones, contain between 1.5 and 3 calories per gram. Straight sugar is 4 calories per gram. So you can already see that some are very close to pure sugar and skirt that line. One positive note, they do not cause tooth decay like sugar does. That is why so many sugar-free gums are made with sugar alcohols. So we do have to stop here and make a very important point. Sugar alcohols and artificial sweeteners such as saccharin, sweet and low, and aspartame, equal, or NutraSweet are not the same. One difference between the two types of sugar substitutes is that the artificial sweeteners contain 0 carbohydrates, whereas sugar alcohols, as I mentioned before, contain between 1.5 to 3 calories per gram. So since artificial sweeteners do not contain carbohydrates, they do not cause blood sugars to rise, whereas sugar alcohols, depending on which ones, will have some effect on your blood sugars. Now, let's cover some of the most used sugar alcohols in the industry. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start off with xylitol. It's a common ingredient found in sugar-free chewing gums, mints, and oral care products such as toothpaste. Aside from causing some digestive systems when consumed in large amounts, xylitol is actually really well tolerated. It has similar sweetness to regular sugar, but its claim to fame, it contains approximately 40% fewer calories. Table sugar, like I mentioned, is around 4 calories per gram. Xylitol is around 2.4 calories per gram. It is marketed through its glycemic index, or the measure of how quickly a food rises blood sugars. And if you've been following me, and I know you do, you know I don't like using the glycemic index as a tool. But in this case, it helps make a point. The glycemic index of xylitol is a 7, whereas regular sugars are between 60 and 70. Now, how does xylitol affect me personally? This one does raise my blood sugars when tested. So it is absorbed more so than any other sugar alcohols, which means less distress. The raise in blood sugars is not as much as pure sugar, but I'll say it's just about half as much. Erythritol is next. Erythritol's standout quality is its excellent taste characteristics. It is actually produced by fermenting glucose in cornstarch and has about 70% the sweetness of sugar, but only 5% of the calories. Erythritol does not have the same digestive side effects as most other sugar alcohols because it does not reach the large intestine in significant amounts. Instead, most of it gets absorbed into the bloodstream, then excreted unchanged into the urine. Erythritol's glycemic index is a 1. Yes, I said a 1. It is most commonly used by me if I'm going to be using the sugar alcohol. To me, it tastes most like sugar. It has very little to no impact on my blood sugars. But if I do consume it in excess, it will cause gas. This one is considered the gold standard. It's now becoming very popular in the low-carb keto world. Sorbitol. Sorbitol has this really smooth mouthfeel and like kind of a very cool taste. It is 60% as sweet as sugar and about 60% of the calories. What's more, it's a common ingredient in sugar-free foods and drinks, including jelly spreads and soft candies. This one for me is kind of like the erythritol. It has very little effect on my blood sugars and insulin requirements, but does cause digestive distress if used a lot. Now, on to maltitol. Maltitol is processed from the sugar maltose and has very similar taste and mouthfeel to regular sugar. It is 90% as sweet as regular sugar and almost half the calories, as they state. And this is where things start to get interesting. While many of the products that contain maltitol claim to be sugar-free, your body absorbs this sugar better than most sugar alcohols, causing blood sugar spikes. Most consumers of low-carb products that are sweetened with maltitol do not monitor their blood sugars carefully. This one, more than likely, will raise your blood sugars more so than any other sugar alcohol. And for some of you, including me, as much as sugar. You're looking at approximately around a 75% response or a third equivalence to sugar or straight glucose. And that, my friends, is not good. A lot of your top-ranked protein, low-carb nutrition bars use maltitol. Why? Maltitol is really cheap, and it's an easy way for brands to sweeten their products and drive down the amounts of sugar they use, so they can advertise themselves as low or no sugars added. As for the glycemic index, in its syrup form, maltitol scores right up there with processed sugar. And it is, wait for it, drum roll, it's a 52. So why don't more companies use ingredients like erythritol instead of maltitol? Erythritol is more of a premium ingredient, and companies can buy much more maltitol in bulk for much, much cheaper, so they can use more of it, and it's the one that causes the least distress. Each of these nutritional bar, supplement, or food-based companies are betting on the fact that you think all sugar alcohols are the same. They are also betting the vast majority of customers only care about a few things. 1, the term low carb or no carb on the label. 2, the taste. 3, the value. The cheaper they can make the product, the greater the advantage they have over their other competitors, the more they can sell. 4, the distress it may cause, such as gas or upset stomach. Since this alcohol is absorbed much better than others, the more the consumer can eat, the bigger they can make the serving size. They know most are not followers of the Resilient Diabetic, nor do they check blood sugars like you do. Unfortunately, the standard everyone is taught when counting carbohydrates for products made with sugar alcohols is to subtract half the grams of sugar alcohol listed on the food label from the total carbohydrates. And that, folks, now you know, is wrong. And you know why. They are all different with different absorption to excretion ratios. Aren't you glad you have subscribed to the Resilient Diabetic? What are your experiences with sugar alcohols or sweeteners in general? In the comment section below, please take a moment and share your trials and tribulations. Which ones raise your blood sugars the most, and which ones have you been able to use trouble-free? Do you actually have a favorite? I'd love for you to share that. I will also create a playlist for you with other related videos on diabetes and sugar control. Look for the video, Can Diabetics Eat Popcorn? It will turn your world upside down with a deeper question. What are the reasons you've been advised to snack and the true consequences and repercussions of snacking? That is really important to know, because if you're snacking with foods that contain the wrong sugar alcohols, then just like the video goes into detail about, you are doing damage. If you're on a desktop or laptop, use your mouse to click that box. If you're on a mobile device, just tap that with your fingers. So, have a great and productive day, and we will see you soon with another new episode, which I've said are always released weekly. Bye for now.